Dr. Heather here, and as you can see, I've actually already taken apart my skeleton because today we're going to talk about Achilles tendinitis. All right, so with that being said, let's get a better sense of what's going on with that Achilles. So some of you may be complaining some actual discomfort coming off here, right here at the heel bone. This is known as your calcaneus. All right, so with that being said, our calcaneus sits here, and then that lovely bunch of tendons that come off as it's coming up into that gastroc muscle is known as your Achilles. So there's a lot of times that we can have irritation to this Achilles, which starts creating irritation right down at that heel bone and can feel like some sharp, stabbing, burning kind of pain depending on the degree of severity of that inflammation going on. Because remember, itis means inflammation. Okay, so with knowing that, then why do we get an Achilles tendinitis? A lot of times it's because that muscle itself is getting very tight and that tendon isn't stretched out enough. You could actually be more of a toe walker, which means you're going out more on those metatarsals and you're not allowing for good flexion and plantar flexion of the foot. Dorsiflexion of the foot is bringing the toes towards you. Plantar flexion is actually pointing the toes towards away from the head. So with that being said, and understanding kind of what's going on here, too, in the front part of the shin, if we were to look at our musculature, and if you don't really see too much of an anterior tibialis muscle, which comes off here in front of the tibia, and that's really the shin muscle itself, versus the muscle back here, if your calves are actually looking a little bit larger in size, chances are you might be prone to a little bit more Achilles tendinitis because of how you're walking throughout the day, or when you're running, you're putting more stress on the forefoot versus kind of learning how to actually, when you land, not necessarily heel striking, but coming to the outside of the foot, allowing the foot to gently roll, then going ahead and accelerating and pushing off the foot during that run cycle. So what are some things that you guys can do to kind of work out that Achilles tendinitis? Well, those are the things we're going to go over next. But I want to make sure you guys understand something. If you're prone to Achilles tendinitis, it is very important. Don't just address the problem area here. Make sure that you're doing things to equally address going up the whole entire chain. And what do I mean by that? I mean exactly what I say. In terms of, don't forget to address the knee, and also don't forget to start addressing what's going on at the hip. These are all things that are super important, because even though you might have the tightness down there, if you don't really focus on the whole chain, you could start setting yourself up for other conditions along the way. So we really want to make sure that we're not just paying attention to the Achilles itself, but do take a look at the knee and the hip as well. All right, guys, so we're going to start with some basic things that you can do to address that Achilles tendinitis. All right, so we're talking about Achilles tendinitis. This is Dr. Heather, and as I stated, I want to start going in through some stretches and exercises you can do to really kind of help remedy the Achilles tendinitis that you're feeling. So, if you're initially kind of having that pain and symptom, coming off that Achilles area back here, obviously you want to make sure that you ice it, you rest it, take some time off from running. Remember, guys, don't push through injuries. It's just going to make matters worse, and it's going to take a long time for your recovery to happen. The other thing you can do, too, just if you want to start doing some soft tissue work, you can go ahead and start going down and doing what we call cross-friction massage, which is actually just, if I'm taking my finger here, going up and down over the tendon, the Achilles tendon themselves. So if you have a loving spouse, partner, or friend even who wants to do a little bit of soft tissue work, again, it's not a bad idea to also start working out the soft tissue in the calf. In various videos you see that, especially in the shin splint series, I talk about doing soft tissue work to the shin, the calf, with the roller. So guys, I highly recommend that you go ahead, start going ahead and doing some of that work too when that initial pain does set in. Now, the next thing we want to start doing is we want to start doing some gentle stretching. And what do I mean by that? Exactly, gentle. All right, so you have to remember something. We don't want to over push when we look at stretching the foot at all. We want to really make sure that we are being gentle. Okay, so the first thing we can do, really nice and simple, is just kind of go ahead, like you're going to stretch out your hamstring, pulling the toes towards you, feeling a little bit of a stretch. If it's really that painful, just something like this alone is going to start to target the area a lot. The other thing you can do is do a runner's stretch, where we're here at the wall, hands against the wall, and I'm doing just a nice easy back leg stretch. I've got my front knee bent, and again, if it's super tight, you're going to feel it in those two positions. Now, if it's not feeling overly tight but just a little bit aggravated, you can take something like a TRX, go ahead and allow yourself to try to stretch a little further into it by trying to drop your body down a little bit more as well. Then the next thing would be to do is to go ahead, give yourself a nice calf stretch too. You can come in towards the wall, make sure you press the hips kind of in close towards the wall, and go ahead and give a really great calf stretch there. So right off the bat, you do want to work the soft tissue. You want to make sure you're stripping it out with the foam roller, hitting all the musculature of the lower leg, doing some simple things like a runner's stretch against the wall, some assisted calf stretch, also hamstring stretch isn't a bad idea as well. And then going ahead and placing the foot up against the wall, making sure you're pushing those hips forward to really get that calf stretched out as well. Now, the next thing you can do is what we call just some basic kind of calf raises, heel drops. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a step. So if you're doing these at home, you could just do them if you have stairs in the house, take that first step. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put our foot on the step, and we're going to go from there. So here's my first step. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to step onto it. So nice and easy, I can just take the foot right where the center of the arch is, drop the heel down, again, just giving yourself a good stretch. Then what you can do is come up onto the toe, hitting a calf raise, and then dropping down into the stretch. So you come up, hit that calf raise, and then come down. So essentially you're kind of giving a little bit of strength, and then you're stretching it out. Once you're feeling better with that, what you can do is do both together, and you're just going to simply come up onto the toes, and then trying to drop the heels down, coming up onto the toes, dropping the heels down. That starts to become a little bit more advanced in the treatment of Achilles tendinitis, because a lot of the stuff initially needs to happen with the rest, the soft tissue work, and essentially just the gentle stretching you want to do as it heals. And then once it heals, you're going to start doing some of these things where, again, if you're noticing any pain or discomfort, kind of step back, go back to part one, where you're just doing the ice, the cross friction massage, and the resting, and then slowly integrate the strengthening components in again. So a lot of the stuff that you're going to do initially is just going to be basic and simple, and then once things start getting better, you can really start look at strengthening the whole entire lower leg, which is a lot of what I went through with shin splints. So when you guys are ready to resume exercise, I would highly recommend take a look at part 2 and part 3 of the shin splints, because a lot of what we talk about there in terms of balance will also help keeping the Achilles tendon from getting re-aggravated, because you're going to look now at starting to work the whole entire relationship of that foot and ankle, and that's what's going to help you more with performance. Okay, so guys, this is just a basic overview of Achilles tendinitis, those initial things that you want to do to really keep the Achilles from feeling more inflamed, and getting you to start to get back to running. And when you do start running again from this type of injury, you do want to keep your mileage very slow, give yourself a few more rest days, and make sure you're breaking down the tissue after your runs by doing some of the soft tissue work through the foam rolling, through a massage ball, even if you have to get somebody to massage out the calf, the Achilles itself, and some nice gentle stretching. Those are going to help a long way as you start to return to running. All right, guys, so this was just a quick little overview on Achilles tendinitis. This is Dr. Heather. If you have any specific questions regarding your Achilles tendinitis or something you want more addressed, please do let me know by leaving some comments down below. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. I really want to know kind of more of what types of things everybody would like to hear on, especially as we go through the pandemic a little bit more. So please drop some comments, and don't forget to always like some of the videos on the channel as well. And again, this was just a quick little overview on Achilles tendinitis, and I'm Dr. Heather. Have a great day, everyone.